Stop right there. Don't scroll. Look at me. This is Tony Robbins, and I need you to hear this. You were not born to be average. You were not born to wake up, go through the motions, and die with your potential still inside you. Somewhere deep in your soul, you know it. There's a fire that refuses to go out, a voice that keeps whispering, I'm meant for more. But here's the truth. That voice will die if you don't listen. Most people surrender their greatness not because they fail, but because they settle. They let fear, doubt, and other people's opinions brainwash them into believing they can't win. But I'm here to tell you, you can. You have the power to rewrite your story, to break every chain of limitation, and to build a life that sets your soul on fire. This is not motivation. This is your wake-up call. If you've ever looked in the mirror and said, there has to be more than this, you're right. There is, but it starts with a decision. The decision that you will not quit, you will not give in, and you will not walk away from the life you're capable of living. Today, I want you to make yourself a promise. No more waiting, no more doubting, no more hiding. From this moment on, you fight for your dream like your life depends on it, because it does. Now take a breath and say it out loud. I'm going to win. Everything begins with your state, your mindset, your energy, your emotional vibration. You can't win from a defeated state. You can't think your way into greatness when your body is broadcasting weakness. The first step to creating a winning life is mastering your state. That means deciding in every moment how you're going to show up. When you control your state, you control your world. Most people let their emotions run them. They wake up tired, scroll their phones, and let negativity dictate their day. But champions wake up with intention. They prime their minds, move their bodies, breathe with purpose, and speak life into their goals before the world even wakes up. You don't need motivation. You need momentum. You create that by choosing power over pity, growth over comfort, and action over fear. Every single day, life is giving you a choice to step into strength or stay in suffering. A winning attitude doesn't come from hoping. It comes from conditioning. You've got to train your nervous system to rise when your mind wants to fall. You've got to wire your brain to associate pain with staying the same and pleasure with pushing forward. If you want to win, you must take absolute ownership of your reality. Stop blaming your past, your circumstances, or other people. That's how you stay powerless. Ownership means saying, I am responsible for what I tolerate, for what I focus on, and for what I create. The moment you accept 100% responsibility for your life is the moment you reclaim your freedom. Winners don't wait for luck. They make decisions that shift destiny. Every thought, every habit, every word you speak is either programming you for power or programming you for paralysis. You've got to ask yourself, what am I reinforcing every day? What stories am I telling myself? Because your identity is built by repetition. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. If you're constantly telling yourself, I can't, your subconscious believes it. If you're feeding your mind with fear, your body responds with hesitation. But if you decide right now to take control, to rewrite the script, everything changes. The power was never out there. It's been inside you the whole time. You want transformation? Then act like the person you want to become, even before you feel ready. Stand like them, speak like them, decide like them. Identity drives behavior, and behavior shapes results. Don't wait to feel powerful. Be powerful now. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards. So raise them. Demand more from yourself. Decide that mediocrity is no longer an option. Success isn't built in a single moment. It's built in the thousands of moments you choose to show up with courage when no one's watching. That's where your destiny is written, not in the big wins, but in the daily battles you fight and the moments you refuse to surrender. Your mind is the battlefield, and every thought you entertain is either a weapon that builds you or a wound that bleeds you. Most people lose before they ever begin, not because they don't have the talent, not because they don't have the opportunity, but because they surrender to their own self-doubt. You can't think like a victim and live like a victor. You can't expect abundance when your thoughts are anchored in scarcity. The truth is your brain is always listening. It's absorbing every word you speak, every image you replay, every limitation you repeat. If you tell yourself I'm not enough, Your subconscious goes to work proving it. But the moment you take back control and begin feeding your mind with strength, certainty, and gratitude, everything shifts. You begin to see opportunity where others see obstacles. You begin to take action when others freeze. The mind doesn't care if your story is true. It just believes what you tell it most often. So if you want to win, you've got to brainwash yourself for success. You've got to flood your system with empowering beliefs until there's no room left for doubt. You've got to treat every negative thought like an intruder trying to steal your destiny. Don't negotiate with it, evict it. Replace it instantly with a truth that serves you. When fear whispers, "You're not ready," you respond, "I've already started." When failure shouts, "You're done," you roar back, "This is just my beginning." Most people don't realize that success is not about avoiding fear. It's about mastering it. You don't eliminate negative thoughts. You outgrow them. You train your focus like a muscle until faith becomes your default setting. And the fastest way to rewire your brain is through repetition. Every single day, feed it clarity, purpose, and vision. Create rituals that remind you who you are and where you're going. That's how transformation happens. Not in one massive breakthrough, but in the consistent conditioning of your mind to see possibility in every challenge. And let's talk about environment, because it's impossible to grow in soil that poisons you. You can't plant seeds of greatness in a field of doubt, gossip, or mediocrity. The people you surround yourself with are programming your standards, whether you realize it or not. If you spend time around people who complain, you'll start to believe life is hard. If you spend time with people who dream, you'll start to believe anything's possible. Proximity is power. You rise to the level of those you associate with. So ask yourself, who am I becoming around these people? Do they challenge me or comfort me? Do they call out my greatness or feed my excuses? Because energy is contagious. You can't expect to walk with quitters and develop the mindset of a conqueror. To truly win, you must become intentional about your environment, the places you go, the voices you listen to, the energy you tolerate. If you want to soar, get around eagles. Find people who remind you of your potential, not your past. Protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Surround yourself with those who speak vision when you're blind, faith when you're fearful, and fire when you're fading. The environment you create will either fuel your greatness or feed your downfall. Choose wisely. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Most people talk about change, dream about success, wish for greatness, but few are willing to do what's required when it stops feeling comfortable. You can't wait for motivation. You've got to build momentum. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your habits. The real transformation begins when you show up on the days you don't feel like it. When you choose action over excuses, consistency over comfort. Because the truth is, every moment you resist discipline, you're strengthening the muscle of procrastination. Every time you do what's easy, you trade what you want most for what feels good now. Winners understand this pain is temporary, but pride is permanent. When you discipline yourself to do what must be done, no matter how you feel, you reclaim control of your destiny. You stop being a slave to moods and start becoming the master of outcomes. Discipline isn't punishment, it's liberation. It's saying, I refuse to live at the mercy of my emotions. I'm running this show. You see, emotion follows motion. The act of doing creates the feeling of progress. You don't need to feel ready, you just need to move. Once you start, the energy comes. Once you act, the doubt fades. The most successful people aren't the ones who feel confident all the time. They're the ones who act in spite of uncertainty. Discipline builds identity. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you're capable. And eventually it becomes who you are. Not a task you perform, but a standard you live by. But here's the second truth. Success demands hunger, not interest, not desire. Hunger, that fire in your gut that says, I will not stop until I get there. You can't casually pursue greatness. You can't half-heartedly chase purpose. You've got to want it more than comfort, more than approval, more than sleep. When you're hungry, you don't need someone to motivate you. Your vision fuels you. You don't wait for opportunity, you create it. You don't look for the easy path. You find the one that makes you grow. Hunger turns pain into power. rejection into redirection, and failure into fuel. You've got to decide right now that your life is worth more than your excuses. Stop negotiating with your goals. Stop lowering your standards to match your struggles. Every champion was once a person who refused to quit. They had hunger when no one believed, when the odds were stacked, when progress was invisible. That's what keeps you moving when motivation fades. Hunger, the kind that burns in your belly, that whispers in your ear, I was born for more. You want a different life? Then you've got to be willing to do what others won't. Discipline gives you structure. Hunger gives you drive. Together, they make you unstoppable. You've got to understand, your mind is your most powerful weapon, but it can also be your biggest enemy if left untrained. Every single thought you entertain is either building you or breaking you. You don't experience life as it is. You experience life as you are, filtered through your beliefs. And those beliefs, they shape your reality. If you tell yourself you're not enough, you'll sabotage opportunities. If you tell yourself success is for others, you'll never push past fear. But the moment you decide to condition your mind, to take control of your inner dialogue, everything changes. Because life isn't about avoiding challenges, it's about mastering your response to them. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control what it means. You've got to become the guardian of your mind. You've got to catch the limiting thoughts before they take root. Every time you say, I can't, stop and replace it with, how can I? Every time fear whispers, what if you fail? Answer back, what if I fly? The words you speak shape the energy you live in. Train your brain daily. Feed it with gratitude, affirmations, empowering questions, and bold visions. You don't get the life you want, you get the life you believe you deserve. If you want to elevate your results, you must elevate your mindset. You've got to stop rehearsing pain and start visualizing victory. Focus equals feeling, and what you focus on expands. Choose to focus on strength, not struggle, on progress, not perfection, on possibility, not limitation. Now, let's talk about emotion, because emotion is the force that moves your life. People don't act based on logic, they act based on state. Change your state and you change your actions. Change your actions and you change your destiny. So how do you shift it? Move your body, breathe with purpose, stand tall, speak with certainty. Don't wait to feel confident, act confidently. Physiology drives psychology. When you raise your energy, your mind follows. That's how you take charge of your life in any moment, by mastering your state. The second part of this is ownership. You can't transform what you're unwilling to own. Stop pointing fingers. Stop blaming your past, your parents, your boss, or your circumstances. The moment you take full responsibility, 100% ownership, is the moment you take your power back. Ownership is freedom. It means you no longer wait for external permission to rise. You stop saying, it's not my fault, and start asking, what can I learn? What can I do now? Life doesn't reward blame, it rewards accountability. Every setback, every failure, every painful lesson, it's feedback, not finality. The question is, are you listening? When you own your results, good or bad, you unlock growth. You stop being a victim and become the creator of your destiny. That's what separates winners from wishers. Winners own everything. They say, if it's to be, it's up to me. That's power. That's freedom. That's transformation. You've got to understand something. Life will test you. It will push you to your limits, strip away your comfort, and expose your weakness, not to break you, but to rebuild you into who you're meant to be. Every obstacle, every setback, every heartbreak, they're not punishments, they're preparation. The universe isn't against you, it's shaping you. The pain you're going through right now is a forge, and inside that fire, your strength, your patience, your resilience are being born. You can't develop courage in comfort. Growth never happens in ease. It happens when you face what you fear and choose to rise anyway. Most people run from pain, but the truth is your pain is your power. If you want to live a life that matters, you've got to embrace the struggle. Every time life knocks you down, you get to decide, is this the end of my story or the start of my comeback? Because comebacks aren't given, they're built through persistence. Winners don't quit because it's hard. They endure because they've decided their dream is worth it. Remember, every great transformation starts with tension. Diamonds aren't born in comfort. They're created under pressure. So, when life squeezes you, when it feels unbearable, ask yourself, what lesson is this trying to teach me? What strength is this calling out of me? That question alone can shift your perspective, and your perspective determines your destiny. Now, let's talk about gratitude, because it's one of the most powerful states you can live in. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that even in the storm, there's something to be thankful for. When you practice gratitude daily, you shift from a mindset of lack to a mindset of abundance. You stop focusing on what's missing and start seeing what's possible. Gratitude is the antidote to fear, anger, and depression. You can't be fearful and grateful at the same time. The mind can only hold one dominant emotion, so choose the one that empowers you. Start every day by focusing on what you already have. Your breath, your health, your ability to grow, your opportunities to love, serve, and make an impact. Gratitude turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. When you live in appreciation, you attract more reasons to be grateful. Life responds to your energy. If you're constantly complaining, you'll receive more chaos. But if you start celebrating progress, even the smallest wins, you'll build momentum. That's how greatness is created, not in giant leaps, but in daily recognition of growth. So when the world feels heavy, when nothing seems to go your way, stop and breathe. Remind yourself, you've made it through every hard day before this one. You are stronger than your circumstances. Don't wait for everything to be perfect before you feel grateful. Feel it now. That shift alone will open doors you never saw before. Because when you train your heart to see blessings, even in pain, you unlock a strength no storm can take from you. Gratitude doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how you live. There comes a moment when you've got to stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect circumstance, because none of that exists. The only thing that matters is the decision you make right now. Decision is the ultimate power. Your destiny is shaped in the moments when you decide to stop tolerating less than you deserve and start demanding more from yourself. The instant you draw that line in the sand and say, no more excuses, no more settling, this is my time, everything begins to change. You see, most people think life happens to them, but life happens for you once you take full ownership. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You can't dictate every event, but you can decide what each one means. That's where freedom begins. You have to choose every day. Are you going to be a victim of your story or the author of it? Because those who win at life aren't the ones with fewer challenges. They're the ones who refuse to give their power away. They use everything, the pain, the failure, the rejection, as fuel to rise higher. That's the essence of power transforming struggle into strength. You must learn to channel your energy, to focus your emotions toward a greater purpose. When you stop blaming others, when you stop saying, I can't, and instead declare, I will, your whole identity starts to shift. You begin to embody the person you were meant to become, not someday, but now. Every powerful transformation begins with one simple act deciding who you are and refusing to live beneath that standard again. Now, when you've made that decision, you've got to back it up with relentless belief. Belief isn't wishful thinking. It's a state of certainty. It's knowing deep in your gut that no matter how hard it gets, you'll find a way. Belief is what turns a dream into a destiny. Without it, every challenge looks impossible. With it, every obstacle becomes a stepping stone. The difference between those who make history and those who fade away isn't talent. It's belief. When you believe with unshakable conviction, your brain starts to find solutions that didn't exist before. The world bends to those who refuse to doubt their vision. But belief alone isn't enough. You must condition it. Every day, you've got to feed your mind with possibility, surround yourself with people who lift your standards, and take bold action even when fear whispers, you can't. Because fear will always be there, but faith has to be louder. You don't need to see the whole path, you just need to take the first step with certainty. Each step builds momentum, and momentum builds mastery. The moment you commit fully, the universe responds. Doors open, resources appear, people align. That's the power of belief in motion. So decide today, not tomorrow, that you're done playing small. Step into the identity of a winner. Own your choices, own your mindset, own your destiny. And when doubt creeps in, because it will remind yourself, I was built for this. I was born to rise. That declaration will carry you through storms, silence your fears, and anchor your spirit in the truth that you are the creator of your life, and nothing can stop a person who's already decided to win